guys, it's Miss Barnett, and we are going to start painting this week. And the first thing that I want you to do whenever you try any new medium is to make a color wheel, and we're going to use this to practice our blending. And what I want you to do is take your paper, and I want you to fold it like this until it's even down here so that we make a perfect square. Okay, and then I want you to take this part here and fold it over so you know where that edge is, right? So then when you open it back up, we do have a perfect square, and we have like the beginnings of something here, okay? I want you to put a dot in the middle. Figure out where the halfway part is. You can either eyeball it or use your ruler. I'm going to put a little dot right there. And then I want you to draw the biggest circle that you can around this. So I'm going to kind of put it right along that line. I'm going to go all the way to the top here. I'm going to come around and go as close to this edge as I can. We want the biggest surface space to work with that we can. Okay, so you're making a big circle. Then I want you to cut it in half, and you already have a line here, so let's do that. So you're going to make your line right down the middle, and then you're going to make a line going the other way. You've made one of these before. Okay, so now in each one of these quarters, you need 3 sections. So I like to make little lines to kind of figure out where they are, and then I go from the middle and I go up and meet that line. And you're going to do that for the whole thing. Okay, so this color wheel is going to have 12 sections. And those are your basic colors. We can make so much more than that, but for the sake of this color wheel, we're just going to make one. Now the one you guys made before, we had different rings, and we're still going to do that. But I think we're just going to make 3 rings today. So we're going to try to break this into equal sections. So this middle one is going to be a little bigger than last time. And then we're going to figure out where the halfway mark is, and we're going to do another one. Okay? So this outer ring, we're going to do the hue. And you guys are going to grab your paint, and you're going to have your red, your yellow, and your blue. And you're going to get your palette and your brush ready. Okay? And I also want you guys to get some paper towels or some napkins and a cup of water. You're going to use that for rinsing your brushes. Okay, so these are the primary colors, and every color in the rainbow is made out of these 3. And a little interesting fact, you cannot create blue from mixing any other colors together. You cannot create yellow from mixing any other colors together, and you cannot create red from mixing any other colors together. These are the original gangsters of color. Right? Nothing came before them. Those 3 created everything. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to open the lid, and you're going to take out a blob of red and put it in one of the sections. You don't need as much paint as you think you do, right? You just need a couple little dabs of it, and then close it up and set it off to the side. Now already we have red on our brush. So let's go ahead and put red in one of these sections since it's already on our brush and we don't really want to waste the paint. Okay. And by the way, you're going to want to use the bigger brush. I gave you guys all 2. One's really little and one's big. You want to use the bigger one. Right? So now that we have that, we are going to rinse our brush out because we're going to go with another color. And you have a lot of water in your brush now, so you want to take a paper towel and kind of dab it off. Oops, and it looks like I still have quite a bit in there. Okay, so I'm good. Now, go to your next one. We're going to kind of put these on here like they were in a color wheel. So we're going to, 1, 2, 3, I think the 4th one is going to be yellow. I'm going to put a couple blobs of yellow. Okay, we want to count 1, 2, 3. and then the fourth one is going to be yellow. So you have 3 sections in between your primary colors, right? Don't worry about this being perfectly in the lines, right? I don't really care about that. I just care that you understand color and that you know how to mix them. Okay, now we're going to rinse this. Probably should have started with yellow. Rinse it pretty good. Wipe it off with my towel. And now we're going to go for the blue. Let me get this yellow out of the way. Okay, you don't need to put the lids all the way back on because we're still going to be using these. So I'm going to get a little blob of blue. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. The fourth one over is blue. And then this is where blue is going to go. I feel like I have too much paint on there, but we'll see. The reason I have you guys make a color wheel every time you start with a new medium, you know, you guys made one with your oil pastels. I didn't have you make one with your color pencils, but I really should have. Is different mediums blend differently with each other. Okay, so I already have blue on my brush, and I'm going to figure out what the one is in between here and there. Now, if you remember from before, when you find the one that's in between two, what it is just a little bit of each of them. So I already have some blue on my brush, but I want to put my blue over here, right? And then what we're going to do with these ones in between is we're going to do our mixing. So I'm putting a little blue in there. I'm going to grab a little red, and I'm going to mix it. Now remember, purple is the hardest one, right, out of the entire one, and we're going to start with that. But as you start mixing it, you can see it really is starting to look purple. That's a pretty, you might have to add a little red or a little blue depending, but I think this one looks pretty good. So we're going to put purple down here. Oh, that turned out really better than I thought it would. Now, when you guys did this with your oil pastels, purple was really hard to get. Paint is a lot easier to blend. That's why this color wheel is going to go a lot faster. Okay, so that's a pretty decent purple. So I don't have anything on my brush now that I can use anywhere else, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse it out and wipe it off. And now I want to do these two, right? So I need a little blue and a little yellow. So I'm going to look at my palette. Now, you always want to start with the lightest color. Always, always, always the lightest. So I'm going to put the lightest one over here. And I'm going to take a little teeny bit of blue. It's not a half and half type of situation. Usually you don't need as much of the dark as you do the light. And you can't ever undo it, and we don't want to keep adding more and more yellow. So just go slow with it until it starts looking green. And that's looking pretty good. It's kind of a light green, like a yellow green, so I think I'm going to add a little more blue. What you're looking for this particular one is grass green. And I think we have it. Okay, so we're going to lay that on there. And like I said, I don't care if it's perfect. So we're good to go. Okay, now I'm going to rinse out my brush. And now I'm going to do yellow and red. Now I already have a little bit of blue in there, so I got to make sure when I grab that red that I don't get that. But again, we're going to start with the yellow, right, because it's the lightest color. And we're just going to get a little bit of red, right? Definitely not even, but it doesn't take as much. Those dark colors go a long way. I feel like that looks too red, like maybe I need some more yellow. That's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to go with that one. Okay, so we're going to lay it on there. That turned out awesome. All right, you guys having fun so far? Painting is my favorite. Okay, so we're so good already. Now I have red orange. I have a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow on my paintbrush already. And this is red and that has yellow in it. So my next color is going to be a mix between these two, right? So we got our primaries, which is the red, the blue, and the yellow, and we made our secondaries. You get a secondary by adding two primaries, right? So secondary color is green orange and purple. And so I kind of already have on my brush this one, the orange, but we're gonna make orange that is more red. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit of this red and add it to what I already had. And it's gonna make a red orange. And I feel like maybe I need to add a little yellow. Let's see what it looks like. What we're looking for is we're looking for something when we put it next to the red that it's not the same, right? We want it to be a little lighter, and that still seems a little dark, so I just added a little more yellow. I'm gonna kind of go over it. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Something in between these two, right? It's gonna be darker than the orange and not as red as the red. We just made a really good red orange. I don't know if the lighting in here is really showing you, but it's pretty good. Okay, then you're gonna rinse your brush out. And let's do another one. Let's do purple and red. Now we already have purple in here, right? So let's just take a little bit of red and add to it. And it's gonna make a red purple. That looks pretty awesome. Oh yeah, that's excellent. Okay. I feel like my brush doesn't have a ton of paint on it, but if you press hard enough, you can get it out of there. You really don't need as much paint as you think. Paint goes a long way. Okay. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna rinse my brush out. We're gonna go to the purple and the blue. All right, so we already kind of messed with our purple. We don't have purple anymore. So let's make purple again. Purple is blue and red. There we go. That looks like a pretty good purple. That's what this is. Now we need to add blue to it because the one that goes here is the combination of those two. So let's add extra blue. So just grab a little bit. And this should look bluer than the purple. And it doesn't look like it is. So I'm just adding more blue until that happens. There we go. So when I have it right next to the purple, it's a little bluer than that, right? But it's not as blue as the blue. Okay, awesome. Now, one thing I think I did here is I didn't get enough water out of my paintbrush, so this is looking a lot lighter than my other ones that I did, so I'll make sure to not do that next time. That's why it's important to have like a little paper towel or something, right? So I'm rinsing out my brush. I'm gonna dry it off real good. I'm just kind of pinching it, and you want to keep your bristles nice and straight, so you might have to go like that to shape it a little. Okay, so now we're gonna do green and blue, and I already have the green that I made, and here's the blue. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of the blue and add it into the green. I don't have a lot of it, but let's see if we can get it. Ugh, paintbrush is pretty dry. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a little bit more green, right? And to make green, we add yellow and blue. And then to make blue-green, we add a little bit more blue. There we go. That looks super similar. I'm gonna have to add more blue to it. Can always go over it. That's the beauty of paint. If it's wrong, paint over it. Right? How does that look? I feel like it still needs a little bit more blue. I'm gonna add a little more. I'm gonna kind of go, there we go. Now we're kind of getting what we're looking for. And don't worry if you can't fill in every little spot on this thing. Don't worry about it being perfectly in the lines. But we have a decent aqua color, like blue-green now. Okay, only a couple more to go. Let's rinse our paintbrush out and make sure to get that water out of it. Okay, so the next one is green and yellow. And because this is already blue-green, we need to kind of make another one. So I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to grab some yellow. I'll just put it in here. And I'm going to grab some blue, right? And let's mix it together and make a nice green. Grab that little water droplet and get it in there. I feel like it needs a little more blue. There we go. That's a nice green. So we want green and yellow. So we're going to make kind of a lime green. So I'm going to grab some of this yellow over here and put it in. We couldn't start with the lightest one this time because we had to make our secondary color. Be careful when you're grabbing that yellow that you're not grabbing any of the part with the red. That will really start turning it brown. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Okay, so one last one. In between orange and yellow, we're going to clean our paintbrush off. And we already turned our orange into red orange. So if we want to turn it back to orange so that we can mix more yellow into it, all we have to do is add more yellow to it, right? So what we basically want to do, and I'm just grabbing a little paint off of the lid. There's plenty of paint in there. So I'm grabbing paint off the lid and I'm adding it to my red orange because if I add enough yellow, it will eventually turn into the color that we're looking for. Let's see. Yep, that's it. Okay, awesome. So we have a really beautiful color wheel, and these are all the hues. The hues are that outer ring. So I want you guys to make a little note off to the side. You know, we have this little section, and I want you to put the word primary. And your primaries are red, blue, and yellow, right? And then I want you to put your secondaries. And your secondaries are the mix of the primaries. So if we mix yellow and blue, we're going to get green. If we mix yellow and red, we're going to get orange. And if we mix red and blue, we're going to get purple, or they call it violet. But I still call it purple. But in art, they call it violet. Okay? And then, so you've got primaries and secondaries, and then your tertiaries are going to be, so this is primary. We'll give primary a number 1, right? So if you mix, if you add 1 and 1, you get 2. 1 and 1, you get 2. 1 and 1, you get 2. So primaries are the ones, if you add a 2 plus a 1, you get a 3. 3 is tertiary. That's where the word tertiary comes from the word 3. So if we mix orange and yellow together, we get yellow-orange. Okay, and then our other tertiary is yellow-green, right? You just look at what's on either side of it, right? Yellow-green. And this one is blue-green. And this tertiary is blue and purple, so we'll call it blue-purple. This one is red-purple. They call it red-violet, but I don't care. You can call it whichever one. And this one is red-orange, because red's on one side, orange is on the other. Okay, that is your basic color wheel. Now, one thing I would like you guys to play around with, especially because you have your palette ready, in these other sections, you could add your black and your white. So if you remember, white is a tint. I'm gonna pull some white out, and I'm just gonna kind of put it right in the middle right here. Now I already have, let's see what color I have on here. I have yellow orange on there. But if I add white to it, then I've got, you know, this, it's lighter, it's a tint, right? If I add black to it, it's going to be the same one plus black. So I want you guys to play around with that. You're going to have to clean off your brush. And don't spend too much time on this. Don't stress too much. Here's one. We can do pink, right? So we have a little red, and then let's add some white to it. So I have now tinted the red, and now I have a lighter version of it. And sometimes you can mix it right on the paper, right? Which is what I'm doing here. And you can do what we did in the beginning. You can start with the primaries, right? And add white to your blue, white to your red, white to your yellow. And then you can move into the secondaries and tertiaries. But you're going to get all of these. Let me see here. I'm going to just try to mix this one right on the paper and see what happens. That worked out pretty well. So you can use your palette if you want to, and you can go up onto the sides of it. There's no rules here. You don't need to stay in the little cups, okay?